Well, many thanks for joining us and thank you for watching Smart 24 TV wherever you are. This is the Policon where we discuss politics and economics. I'm Joram Paul Sonko in here to take you through in yet another episode of this month of January. And of course, these discussions are widely huge or rotating around how you as an individual or you as a Ugandan will definitely benefit from this particular discussion of the Policon. Well, of course, as the Policon, we do happen to analyze the political crisis and, of course, the political affairs and how in any way they impact onto the economy of Uganda. But tell you what, also, amongst the key discussions, we just want to at least have conversations that will generally at least have answers from the political space and, of course, streamline activities within the economy of the country. You're watching Smart 24 TV, channel 394 on GOTV and channel 372 on DSTV. And definitely here to make sure that you understand the political and economic space of Uganda that will definitely show you that we move hand in hand. Well, and this particular segment, we're going to be looking at the issue to do with workers, but more in a broader space when it comes to investment. Remember, with the workers lately, the issue to do with investment or saving for the future has become one of the key topics within the formal sector. And this has apparently led to the fact that Ugandans have got more interested in remitting to the National Social Security Fund. But of course, just a month back, if I'm to put it in that way, or last year, when we apparently got to at least get the Nssf Amendment Act, in which you can access 20% of your savings with the National Social Security Fund. That is, if at all you've been able to save for the last 10 years, and of course and you're 45 years and above, you had the opportunity, and you still have that opportunity to access 20% of your savings. Not only that, now for those who actually are persons with disabilities and have served with Nssf for the last 10 years can easily access 50% of their particular funds or of what they've been saving. So that is how the Act was able to streamline and give out at least guidelines on how Ugandans will definitely benefit from the National Social Security Fund and how they will be able to access these funds. Now, to discuss more and of course about this, including the saga with Nssf that is ongoing, the issue to do with employees, employers who have failed to remit money to the National Social Security Fund basket, which is worth close to 200 billion Ugandan shillings. We are definitely going to be discussing this with the Workers MP, that is Honorable Byakatonda Abdul, who is here to at least take us through all these discussions. Many thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sonko. I want to thank the management of Smart 24 TV for according me yet this opportunity. I want to thank you for the previous work. I remember when the bill was being processed.
You were still here.
And there was a lot of anxiety. People were saying this one can't be possible. Yeah. But we used our leadership skills, we used our connections. We had to use dialogue. We engaged up to His Excellency the President until he really saw that what we were raising was quite fundamental and for the benefit of all the people. Yeah. Until when the bill was processed in Parliament, forwarded to him and he assented to it, which is now law. That was a very big milestone for the social security in Uganda, as most of the people could really wonder, why would I really get only once in a lifetime when I'm only retiring? So what's important is that now, like you clearly put it, midterm access is available, and I must say quite a number of people have already accessed this money. The statistics, I think, from the corridors I had, over 20,000 people had benefited, which was over 650 billion. This was quite important. And what I normally urge them is that, you know, midterm access is also once in a lifetime. So when you have that opportunity, I think what is important is to put this money to full use. I think they should appropriately think and invest it strategically, because there is a difference between this associated earning, which is the earned from a rotary. Okay. But to somebody who has a correct mindset, even if it's a rotary, you'll find people investing out of a rotary and it becomes a capital. What is important is to avoid excitement and move strategically with a plan and ensure that you move and really invest the money. That is very important. I think this has been a step in a positive direction, okay, which has restored the confidence among the savers to know really when you do this. Because most in Uganda, it is not easy to come across employment, because I must say we are out of the population, I think only 20% are formally employed. Others are just there, and I think this is important. But of course, having looked at this, we also exploited the amendment and said, I think, let there be voluntary saving, where we can have not necessarily people in formal employment, but even in informal employment, people can save. And of course, the only difference is that the voluntary savers can access their money anytime without any condition. Okay. They are not subjected to age, they are not subjected to the number of years they are saving, but they can access money anytime they save. Of course, unlike the others where we are saying somebody should clock 45, and they have saved at least continuously for 10 years, then they can access up to 20%.
Well, Honorable, with this issue to do with voluntary saving, gets me back to a question. If someone has been employed, for example, to a company for 5 years, and then in the 6th year, they start their own businesses, how do they change to, how then will they be recognized by the fund that, well, this one is now doing voluntary?
Well, of course, now it is understandable. Okay. He has saved for 6 years, he has the money. Yeah. Of course, this is just basically to look at a certain age group. But what I must say, yes, for example, somebody has worked for 6 years, yes, and he has clocked 50 years, yes, and he has taken 2 years without employment. That's also another avenue for accessing money. Okay. Do you know that? I think the listeners didn't know that. So somebody can also access money through that. And then there is what we call invalidity. God forbid you are no longer able to work because of certain illness or certain abnormality. You can also access. God forbid, maybe there's what we call the survivor's benefit. You passed on, you can also access your money. So Social Security basically connects from one of the conventions. That's Convention 102 of ILO, International Labour Organization. And this convention came into being in 1952. So in this convention, there are 9 branches, but we are talking about the minimum standards. Okay. So all member states like Uganda follow the suit based on that convention. Mm-hmm. So what is important here to note is that one, of course, the convention talks about 9 branches: medical, unemployment, injury, survivor's benefit, and so forth. So all these, so they say in every constituent of ILO, Uganda inclusive, should look at least 3 minimum branches for execution. Okay. And of course, that's what has been happening. And this comes when we are urging government to ratify this convention, okay, such that at least we are compliant in terms of minimum standards and in terms of following suit in these branches. Mm-hmm. But suffice to mention, I think when you look at this act, the Nssf Act, mm-hmm, it derives from a number of principles of the state in the Constitution, okay, which talks about the welfare of the workforce and other things. So you find that one, even we have a board, an Nssf board. So this board under Section 3 of the Nssf Act, Cap 2 allows even the board to come up with a number of investment ideas, a number of implementation strategies that can help better the fund. Okay. I think this is where it comes in. Now, like the midterm access, I think falls under the Convention of Unemployment, because I think the perception was that why this came into being, because as workers leaders, we're saying the workers are badly hit. Yes. because most of them had gone out of employment. Most of them could not actually fend for their families. So we said, I think, let's actually have this so that they can have midterm access. Because to defeat knowledge, to see that somebody who has saved cannot actually access even a smaller thing, even when you're at your deathbed. I think this was the idea that we had. Because I remember the cases could come out where somebody is maybe 55 or even 59, but maybe has a mortgage on the house, they are taking the house, but you cannot actually access even small money to clear. They take your house. So I think this was premised on a number of factors, including those I've mentioned. So what's important is that we need really to build the fund. Because I must say in the Asian tigers, I think some countries like Korea, Malaysia, Hong Kong, most of those countries, then the social security saving is about 30% of the GDP. Okay. Whereas in Uganda, we are still at 12%, which is quite low, or much as we have performed in the region in a number of African countries, okay, because of other coined methods that have come on board. But I think we must say we want to have more. Okay. Like Oliver said, so we shall always ask for more. Okay. So that at the end of the day, we can even, in the vice of attempting to meet the minimum standards as per the ILO Convention 1 2, okay, we can even exceed and be at the top of the game in terms of social security.
And let's get back to when Ugandan started accessing the midterm, when they started accessing these midterm benefits last year. We got some reports of some of those who could not make it because of not meeting the standards that were set by Nssf. And some of these people apparently did feel like they were underprivileged in a sort for not accessing these funds. So it does take us back to the fact that Ugandans need to as well know that even this year they can still access these funds. But as a workers MP, I do believe you've faced engagement with some of the employees who still are skeptical about saving with the Nssf because they do not believe their money is safe. So if you are to at least put it out there for some of these particular employees, and of course the savers, the voluntary savers, how safe are these funds once they are into the fund?
Well, I think I want to allay the fear. Okay. And said that one, there are a lot of speculations, of course, suspicion, anxiety. That anxiety has been there in a number of fields. For example, normally, of course, suffice to mention all these issues that are coming up. As workers' leaders, we are saying, let it be subjected to scrutiny. Okay. Let it be subjected to investigation as it has been taken on. And of course, let anybody volunteer information, because what we would like to know, I've clocked 60 years, they have never given me my money. I'm a voluntary saver, I've not done this. And of course, we have empowered the Nssf management and the board, okay, with a lot of powers. Yes. And we are saying, when we are making amendments, we are saying non-compliance. Okay. You're deducting money for the savers as an employer, but you're not remitting to Nssf. Okay. It has taken 1 year, it has taken 1 month, it has taken 10 years. There are gaps in their remittances when you are deducting, because the law is very clear. We are saying the saver, you deduct 5%. Then the employer makes 10%, which is a 15% deduction. This must be remitted promptly. And I think there are mechanisms, there are systems that somebody can actually verify and ensure whether your money is actually being remitted. This is very important. Of course, what I want to urge employers who are in the category and who are deducting workers' savers' money and not remitting, okay, they are doomed, because the law is very clear. We are saying it is a fine of 20% is levied on the savers' money until you pay to zero balance. So if you have taken, say, you have been deducting their money, say for 10 years and they have not been remitting, you must actually, the law must actually catch up with you. Sure. At the end of the day, you must even compute all the money for the time you have not remitted to the actual date, the employee's living. Okay. And then at the end of the day, you include the 20%. Because you're disadvantaging the person. The saver, because when Nssf gets the money in Uganda, what they are doing, they have some investments they are doing. And at the end of the day, they normally award an interest per annum. And I think this has been done. I remember one time it went up 12% per annum. And it has not actually gone below 9%. So that means on the 15 that you're deducting, remitting it to Nssf is investing it and then giving these people, announcing interest per year. Okay. So that is computed on the savers' benefit, savers' money. So if you don't do that, then that means you're disadvantaging them. So I want to urge the employers to do this. And this law is now very stringent because we are saying even when you're employing one person, he's entitled to saving. So I think that's the bottom line. So what we need to do is to ensure that at least we are compliant, especially the employers and employees. Because one important thing is that the employer starts with an employer to ensure that it registers with Nssf. Okay. And these days I think somebody can even do it on phone.
Yes, by you register with your DIN and all that.
And everything. Okay. So then you must actually remit the details of your account for saving with the employer. So
what you are trying to put out there now is that Ugandans should not be worried about the Nssf issue. The funds are safe.
Of course, there are a lot of miscoordination, and we want to know, because some of the things could be a conflict of interest. Some of them could be looked at as going overboard. Some of them could be seen as abusing. Some people could abuse the office, abuse of office. But what is important is that, one, let's give benefit of doubt and ensure that the investigations are concluded.
Before we come
I wouldn't allude that somebody has done this, because all this will be revealed. Right now, I think, which I want to commend the board, they have given the IGG
the room to do the investigation.
And the Parliament is also very much interested. I sit on the Gender, Labour and Social Development Committee of Parliament. Okay. We had also invited actually the Minister for a statement
on this matter.
On the matter. Then in the Parliament, I think there was a debate.
And did she appear during the committee?
Of course, before we could do that, the Speaker had already intimated that they are going to make up a five-worker committee. Okay. To investigate. And then, of course, the IGG. So I think it is just a matter of harmonization, and all this will go all the same. Okay. For us as a gender committee, we are responsible for oversight, accountability, and even as the general parliament. So anything that is not going well will be looked into in detail and to its logical conclusion. Okay. So what I want to say is that anything good will have a number of weaknesses. But what I want to say, I want to allay the fear of the savers, because me, what I want, from where we shall start is when they tell people, such and such a group of people have attained retirement age and they can't access their money.
They can't access, okay.
These ones qualify for midterm access, they can't access their money. These ones, as a result of invalidity, they can't access their money. Somebody is maybe going out of the country, and it's confirmed, cannot access their money, and the number, and so forth and so forth. So when all this is actually indicated, then we shall move in full swing. Okay. And compel the fund managers to conform.
All right.
Yeah, but right now I think what is important is that we beg that the due diligence must be done, the timeliness in investigating the matter. Yes. And of course, such that at least everybody puts this matter at rest. Okay. And at the end of the day, then the fund should continue. Because in the country, I think this is the only thing we have, which is really very viable, where you're getting at least 15% monthly. Then computed by a year, the number of years you have worked. Then per year, they are giving you at least an interest. Yes. So you find that this money grows very fast. And at the end of the day, when you are no more, you can really have privilege, where a fallback position. And most people who have invested properly upon attainment of retirement age, some of them are doing well. Okay. If you don't go with excitement on this money, you can do something good with it. Better, and really will be one of the giants in your village where you retire, and you don't actually inconvenience anybody.
All right.
Actually, you can even become an employer. You even pull people towards you.
Okay.
You know,
you've put that money into
yeah,
good use.
if you put it to good use, because poverty is the biggest hindrance in the community. You can be poorly socialized. Nobody wants to come close to you.
Yes.
But when you start slowly and you break even, something picks up. Of course, you can lead a comfortable life. What we are looking at, you've retired, you can't even afford medication. It's very critical. And as we age, the demands of medical care become eminent, and they are high
at the forefront.
So you must prioritize and ensure that at least you work towards that.
All right, Honorable. And before we go in for a break, now to the viewers out there, the amount of money in question here in regards to the Nssf saga goes back to the fact that this particular meetup, or what the committee in Parliament, why the committee in Parliament wants the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development to appear is due to the fact that there are allegations that she had pressured the by then Managing Director Richard Byaugawa to give her 6 billion shillings for activities to promote the fund. And of course, this created some controversies. Everyone has been having their own say or their own side of the story. But however, just like Honorable Byakatonda has revealed, that they are still investigating and they will clearly come up with a final report towards the same Nssf saga. But what you should know for now is that the National Social Security Fund has an acting director who was the former deputy to Richard Byaugawa, that is Mr. Patrick Ayota, who is taking over or driving the route, and who is actually under the driving situation at the National Social Security Fund in Uganda. Well, after the break, meanwhile, we're going to be discussing, amongst the other things, one, the issue to do with employers who have failed to remit these particular funds to Nssf, especially the employees' remittances or the employees' savings, or the money that the employees are supposed to be saving to the fund, and how you as an employee can come up and stand up for your voice, and at least raise a voice rather, to Nssf, and make sure that your money is being saved to the fund. And then to the employers, what should you do to ensure that you're remitting this particular money to Nssf? But amongst the other discussions, of course, we shall as well be looking at the Nssf and, of course, trying to understand how then can we also shape up investment, especially when it comes to saving for retirement. You're watching the Policon, and we're definitely going in for a break. We shall be right back with more discussion.